to another gathering of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. Have a seat by the fire as we prepare to help you unlock the secrets of the travel life. From theme park thrills to Purple Mountain's majesty, we want to see it all and do it all, and we want to help you do the same. We all have those bucket list trips, once-in-a-lifetime destinations that we'll get to someday. We're here to help you make your travel dreams a reality. Buy the ticket, take the trip. Where do you want to go?
Come on, now tell me what's on your bucket list. Okay, hey, it's a beautiful day. Okay, hey, it's a beautiful day.
Hola! We're headed south of the border again to catch up with Heather and Jeff's further adventures in Mexico. But first, travel news, including Halloween fun at Walt Disney World, running with the pack on Universal's Velocicoaster, and Dan needs help planning his Disney adventure. Swim up to the bar and don't forget your sunscreen. It's time to hit the trail with the Gold Key Adventurers Society. You've probably noticed that Heather and Jeff haven't been in the studio the last couple of weeks. That's because they've been out in the field, hard at work, running with a pack of genetically altered velociraptors, and very, very thoroughly inspecting the very best offerings from AM Resorts in Mexico. Finally, they're back from their journey and ready to tell us all about it. But first, I was wondering, since you all were in Mexico, I was thinking about chili peppers. And as chili peppers get more terrifyingly hot, their creators give them increasingly intimidating names, like Carolina Reaper, some sort of scorpion, ghost, death pepper, whatever.
Devil's colonoscopy.
Yeah, in order
Stole my idea.
In order to warn would-be eaters away from certain doom and painful toilet time in the very near future. If the world's next hotter than hellfire pepper was named after you, what would it be called?
White hotness.
Oh.
Anthony Kiedis. Because when you eat it and you go to the bathroom, you're going, Shama Lama Hama Lama Lama, California.
Wow. Gosh. I don't know. Something like Heather's hellacious habanero anus.
Oh, I love the alliteration that just stops at anus. And so will you.
Exactly.
Is the pepper ring shaped or?
I don't know, because it's going to make your anus burn.
Is it a brown pepper?
That's appetizing.
With little speckles of red.
You said it was supposed to sound intimidating.
Mine's not very intimidating. I was going to say it could be the Michigan head scratcher. I've got this weird genetic thing where apparently there's a certain percentage of people where when you eat spicy food, your scalp gets itchy.
Huh.
You guys get that?
No.
No, just me?
My cheeks get sweaty, but that's it. And my face gets sweaty too, but
Right. Yeah, I get sweaty too, but my head itches every time I eat something spicy.
Weird. I've never heard of
I've
that.
not heard of that one.
Yeah, apparently I just have a disorder or something. I don't know.
I had a roommate that could eat just hellfire itself, and it would not burn him. So he would go into these places and dare people to burn him.
Wow.
They would concoct the most insane stuff. I couldn't even sit across from it. It was that hot. Like, it just burned my nose and eyes, and he'd be munching away. He'd sweat and get hot, but his mouth never hurt.
he'd bleed from all of his orifices, but he seemed fine with it. So
I like watching that show where they interview celebrities, hot ones, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But just while they're eating hot wings, and I love it when it's someone British.
They can't.
Cannot handle.
Gordon Ramsay, have y'all seen that one?
Yes.
He cannot.
He just spends the entire episode cussing and then vomiting.
Which is different than he normally is.
So out of character.
I like when they get incredibly honest when they get up to the hotter ones because they can't concentrate on.
Yeah, they can't lie.
On being guarded. Yeah.
You ever kill a man, Gordon? Yeah.
Anything for milk.
Yeah, he brought all of his own supplies. He had milk and bread and every one of those
lime
things
juice.
that they think
He kept squirting lemon or lime juice in his mouth. He said that would help.
Spitting and half throwing up. It's wonderful.
It's a good episode.
agree to do this in the first place?
When are we getting Guy Fieri in there?
Hey, he could handle it. He was on there. And he was a
he'd
champ.
probably eat every single one of them and give like really eloquent answers, really thoughtful.
Yeah. Give me a minute and I'll make my own donkey sauce right here in my pants.
Just sip a little donkey sauce in between each to take the edge off. Yeah.
Yuck. Oh, gross.
Well, on that note, our show this week is brought to you by Key to the World Travel. Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency specializing in theme parks, cruising, and destinations around the world. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com for more details and a no-obligation quote on the vacation of a lifetime. Jess, some spooky news out of Walt Disney World.
Yes, that's right. We are in the throes of May, which means time for Halloween. Woo! Actually, it's halfway to Halloween, so Disney used this as a time to announce the new Disney After Hours Boo Bash, which will
Boo Bash.
be taking the place of the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party for this year. So this will be on select nights from August 10th, another very Halloween-y time of year,
Right.
to August 31st.
October
from
31st.
October 31st. Thank you. I just looked at August again. From 9 p.m. to midnight. And this will include Halloween-themed cavalcades, character sightings throughout the park, special performances by the Cadaver Dans, decor, lighting, music, treat stops with plenty of candy, and so much more. So this is it's pretty cool that they're, obviously they're not going to be able to do the Not So Scary Halloween party as we normally know it with the fireworks and the parade. So this is a way, this is a way to do sort of a smaller version of that. And
After hours events are always cool.
Yeah, they're great. So I'm actually going to be there at the end of August, and we're thinking about giving this a shot. They will have tickets. Tickets are going to grant you admission to Magic Kingdom Park as early as 7 p.m. without the need for a day park ticket or a Disney Park Pass theme park reservation, which is nice.
A little different than the Not So Scary when you were always able to sneak in there around 4.
Yeah, this has the after hours, which are shorter than the normal holiday parties are usually. So, and they said tickets are going to go on sale next month, and there will be an early purchase window for guests of select Disney resorts.
I love that they're doing
word
that.
on pricing yet?
Nothing yet on pricing or the exact dates they're going to have it. So.
I'm going to guess it's going to be more in line with what their after hours events have been, which was more expensive than the parties. The Not So Scary and the Very Merry, because they were always smaller capacity.
Yeah. I wonder if they're ever going to go back to the full, what we know is Not So Scary.
I mean, they were always selling those things out, so they were such a big moneymaker.
Yeah, they were adding dates.
Yeah. I mean,
knowing them, this
fact
would be a
that
great
it's
time
starting
to...
on August 10th, like they think it's going to sell.
This would be a great time for them to revamp things and come up with an even longer name.
I figured that if they changed it up this year, that it would be Mickey's Not So Scary.
Yeah, or a
not
taste.
so much of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Presents not so much of Not So Scary.
A touch of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Yeah,
just
a glimpse, a smidge. I like that. I want a smidge of something.
A haunting of Mickey's Not So Scary.
Yes.
And they will also allow costumes. You will still have to abide by the mask rules that are in place and might still be in place when this happens.
Probably.
Yeah, so but
I'm guessing
you can still dress up in that August heat.
In the write-up for the thing, 2 sentences apart, there's no masks are allowed and face coverings are required. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. So I'm guessing. Yeah, like you can't be creative with it. You have to wear a normal face covering, but yeah, you can't just like wear a Spider-Man mask and be like
your costume. Yeah, but you can't wear a full head covering like a Darth Vader helmet
at Universal during Halloween time that were like the bottom half of monster faces.
Yeah, I think everyone will just have to dress like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, hey, that's perfect.
It's a surgeon party. Doctor.
Yes. Well, I'm super glad to see something like this coming back. It feels a little closer to normal with at least some kind of party.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Heather and Jeff had an experience recently that I would describe as scary good fun.
It was scary good fun. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. Are we discussing the Velocicoaster?
That new
Yeah, so
churros, the new churros stand at Universal.
We were invited to ride the Velocichurro.
Yes.
And I got to say, that's the most intense roller coaster I've ever been on.
I think it's probably the most fun I've ever had on a coaster ever. It was incredible.
But you also can't wait for it to be over to talk about how awesome it is and to clean out your shorts. But
I did think that I was going to die several times.
it's nuts. It's got 2 major launches, and the changes in G-force from positive to negative are nuts. You do these barrel rolls where you're weightless, and then you're immediately going up where you weigh 4 times your normal weight, and then you're weightless again. And the whole thing, there's no shoulder harness. It's just it's an interesting thing. It comes down over your head, but what it essentially is a lap bar. It clicks in the middle. So it's holding your body down so you don't fall out or anything, but it feels wrong because there's nothing over your shoulders. You can't come out of this thing. They really click it down on you.
Oh, and they do.
Described as like cups that go over your hips.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
kind of, because it's like a lap bar that meets in the middle between your legs.
Yeah.
So it's...
And then the seat is it's angled a little bit backwards, almost like you're sort of in
like
a
Rip Ride Rocket.
Yeah. And so my feet were dangling, didn't touch because I have short legs, so they weren't touching the floor.
Yeah, mine wouldn't touch either, but there was you could put your feet on the thing that the person's seat in front of you is mounted to.
The fact that there's nothing physically on your shoulders really creeped me out. And at first I was thinking, well, maybe it's like Rip Ride Rocket and you don't actually go upside down. It is
super go upside
full
down.
inversions.
You go upside down over like a walkway, right? There's like
down.
Yeah. It's 4 full inversions. One of them right over the water, and your head is like 3 feet from the water.
Isn't that one a stalled inversion too? So you kind of go for a long time.
It's like what they call a top hat, where you go up and you hover there at the flat point, and then you go more than straight down. It's like inverted. But as you're going up, you don't even know you're going up on that thing because it's a barrel roll going up, and then you straighten out and you can see out over the whole park. And you're like, oh, look, we're blah.
Yes.
I mean, it's nuts. And it's a 4-minute long ride. If you watch the ride through, it's good and long, but it feels like you don't know what in the world's going on, and then it's over. It's just nuts.
But so crazy fun. Here's a few stats. So there's a 53 mile per hour barrel roll, which is insane. Then they have, what was it, maybe midway through, a 70 mile per hour boost. So it's a second launch in the middle of this thing. Are you looking at the
stats on that shirt?
I am.
Yeah.
A 90-degree banked turn. The inverted zero gravity stall is the thing that freaked me out the most. And they advertise it as having 12 airtime moments. I'm not sure my butt was ever fully on the seat the entire time. I thought I was going to fly out of it.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. And
what is it? It's 0 to 75 miles an hour in like 3 seconds
in
or something.
2.4 seconds.
Yeah. 75 miles an hour. It's just bananas. You go around a corner, you're like, oh, or it's just starting off, and then it's just whoop, like it's that magnetic launch thing. No warning. You just turn a corner and you're going.
It's
and apparently
amazing.
At certain turns and peaks and stuff, there are velociraptors. But
I didn't see
all
a
I
thing.
saw was the back of my head the whole time. I don't know.
I didn't see any of
and
them.
the inside of my butthole.
I was screaming my head off the entire time. I don't think I stopped screaming the whole time.
You did not.
And the queue is very cool too. And they have some really great, part of it, most of it, we walked straight through because it was a special event. So there was no line, but we did stop at a few of the cool spots.
It's very in keeping with the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park thing. So the whole thing's like you're going into the Velociraptor
paddock
display. So they've got statues and stuff, and they have like that DNA guy that from the movie that looks like
the
paperclip guy, and he's like talking about velociraptors and all this. And then as you start going in, the lighting changes, and clear that something's gone haywire and the velociraptors are out. The only way to get the people out of the display is to get them on this fast-moving train. So while you're waiting, you see a train go by, and it's the real train. But every time a train goes by you in this window, it triggers these projections that look like they're also outside the window of velociraptors running after the car.
Yeah.
Super cool.
It was really great.
So you see your friend go by, and then you see all these velociraptors running right after the
Chasing
car.
it.
It's really a good effect.
And you're supposed to be looking for the velociraptors while you're on the ride, but I mean, I'd have to ride it so many times to be comfortable to even see a thing. And even maybe then, it's so intense. I'm not sure. I was shaking when we got off.
Oh, yeah. And we were at the industry preview for the travel agency. And they were like, "You want to go again?" No, I do not.
We were both like, I need a minute.
If I could have gone in an hour or 30 minutes even, I might have considered it. But they literally, they just needed to go like
Walk
off
all the way
across
back
the bridge
around.
and get right back on.
Yeah.
There was no way.
I needed to compose myself,
Yeah.
change my clothes.
I did do a short change. So I was concerned I wasn't going to fit into that. I'm a bigger dude. I'm nearly 300 pounds. I wear a 42-inch waist. I can ride that. It wasn't the most comfortable I've ever been in my life, but I can ride it. If I had back issues like Jess, I would never suggest you ride it.
Even for me, though, they came around and he reamed on it and clicked it in as tight as it would go. So even if you were thin, they're going to cinch that lap restraint as tight as it will go so that there's no chance of you falling out. So even then it was that part of it's not. And then somehow I still came up out of my seat, even though he did that. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but
I think you really actually aren't coming out of your seat. It feels like it because the 0 G's there for a second.
You, I felt myself lift up out of the seat, just like on the Mako at SeaWorld. That's kind of like, this felt sort of like a combination between the Mako hypercoaster and something like the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
But then with even more extreme craziness. It was insane.
I think it's the best coaster in Orlando, I think. It's
100%.
not as interestingly themed and doesn't do some of the surprising things that Hagrid's does. But it's obscenely intense and really
probably
good.
Their greatest thrill ride. Just hands down,
so
it beats
thrilling.
Hagrid's. The theming is great, but when you're on Hagrid's, because it continually slows down and then speeds up, you have time to look at, like, when you're going around that corner and you're into where Hagrid is and the blast-ended Scroots and stuff like that, and seeing the unicorn. You're not speeding past it at 70 miles an hour, so you have time to enjoy it. There's no lull on the Velocicoaster.
I couldn't tell you anything that showed up or happened or what anything was.
There maybe have been some story. I don't know.
The thing too, if someone has back issues, I wouldn't recommend it because it's only a lap thing. You're free to move around up top, and so it does a lot of like you're leaning left, you're leaning right, you're leaning, and then you do a full barrel roll and come right out of that and go the other way. So
it's definitely smooth. It's probably the smoothest track I've ever been on. It's not jerking you around that way, but the car is physically doing such dramatic.
Unless you're in the front row,
shifts.
you can't predict if you're about to lean hard left, hard right, or go fully upside down.
We could have gone back around and gone in the front row, but I couldn't take. I don't know whether I could take it. I was afraid my contacts were going to fly off.
My mask came like blew down just from the wind.
Yeah.
So when they were taking the pictures, I was like trying to adjust my mask, and you couldn't see my face at all.
I wonder how long that part. I feel like Universal will be the first to drop the making you wear your mask on an outdoor ride.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they will too, but with all that screaming, you just literally.
That is true. I did scream the entire time.
Inside your heart.
I could not.
I was screaming outside my heart.
I could not.
It's amazing when it opens full time. Apparently, they're now just doing a couple of hours or more a day of dress rehearsals.
Technical rehearsals. Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you're down there right now, go, mosey over there and see if it's worth it. Honestly, I'd stand in line for an hour to ride that again. I really would.
Yeah.
It was that
My
good.
son's doing a day down there next week, and I'm hoping that they're doing them when he's there, so he can ride it.
Yeah,
But,
if you're a
saw that
coaster person,
During these technical rehearsals, the wait times were only about 45 minutes, so they're really cranking that thing out. And there's been no downtime issues with this ride.
yeah, I don't think it'll have those same issues that Hagrid's does because it's not doing the braking.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be what's causing the wear and tear on Hagrid's.
It's just launch, go fast, then launch and go faster.
Yes.
That second launch is what sends you
That second launch,
almost straight up to 75 miles an hour.
I had no idea that part was coming. And you can see the inversions. The second launch, I had no idea it was going to do that. And it just blew my
themed,
mind.
so it looks like you're going into a Velociraptor cage, but it's those super magnets that just whoosh, fire you off again.
Crazy stuff. I love it. They've outdone themselves with this one. I think.
And Dan, are you an extreme coaster dude? Can you do it? Do you like them?
That coaster I could do. I'm not crazy about being super high up.
Ooh.
But launched. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's
This
the
one's not
lift
that
hills that
high.
I'm not crazy about. Launched coasters, I'm okay with.
Yeah, you don't have that. You don't have that long, slow climb up the hill where it's going click,
Right.
click.
Yeah, that
click,
chain
and-
climb
yeah.
is there just to scare you. Tick,
Yes.
tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
This one,
That's
you're
the part I think.
high, but you're not up there very long. It's
No.
it's very
Not
brief
anywhere very long.
that you're launched over that top hat.
Right. Yeah. I mean, once I got to the top of Rip Ride Rocket,
Oof. Yeah.
I loved it. So I mean, I think doing that kind of got me over the issue.
Oh,
so
for
at
sure.
least something that high, now I'm okay
And
with
you
it. I
like
don't know
the
if
Hulk?
I could do any of the. Oh, I love the Hulk.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is a great one. And
That's one that I'll ride multiple times in a row. So
and that one goes upside down even more times than
That one
the
makes me
Velocicoaster.
vomit.
It's so many inversions.
that one's basically just inversion into inversion.
Yeah,
into
but
inversion.
I got to
I
give
love
Jeff
it.
credit. He rode the Velocicoaster with his arms in the air the entire time.
I did.
And he said to me as we're going, put your arms up. And I did. And they were up for what? Half a second?
Not even, yeah. As soon as that launch
As
happened.
soon as we launched, I was clutching the.
Yeah, I forgot. I did just hold him. There was one point where I did tuck him in. It was when we were close to the water, and it felt like that my arms were going to go in the water.
Yeah.
They weren't, but it felt like it.
But it feels, no, you feel so close to the water. Ugh. Oh, but it was so fun. No, it's that whole, fear of flying out of it is somehow fun. The fear of dying. Yeah. Somehow it's crazy fun. I definitely recommend checking it out this summer. It'll be worth it. And hopefully I assume they'll be using a virtual line for it once it's actually open. So you can get your time and then go do other stuff. Yeah. Go ride the Hulk a bunch of times to prep yourself.
That's
There
right.
you go. Yeah. Well,
June
Jess
10th.
June 10th.
has some far less exciting news out of Universal and Walt Disney World.
Oh yes, that's right. It is far less exciting, but it's a step in the right direction, I guess you could say. The temperature screenings have been removed from Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando
It's kind
Resort.
of exciting because it means we might be getting back to something resembling normal.
Yeah,
Soonish.
we're taking steps. Yeah, they Disney removed them for cast members and guests, and Universal removed the temperature checks and also reduced their distancing markers to 3 feet.
That's
from
interesting.
6 feet.
We
So-
haven't heard anything about Disney doing that, right? There's as
No,
far as we know.
No, they've changed the stickers. They've removed a lot of the larger stickers that had words on them and have replaced them with smaller little just sort of color bars,
It's like
which is kind of weird,
yeah.
but they haven't changed the distancing yet.
It's
So.
sort of like a prep for when we're going to pull those.
Yeah, I guess it's easier for them to get those up in a
everybody
quickness.
ignores the bigger ones.
Here's
anyway.
what they'll do. When they change it to 3, they just put down stickers between the 2 that exist.
Yeah, that's true. A lot easier that way. Yeah.
Who
So
wants Jeff on their corporate team? Problem solver.
Yep.
Well, it's a
I'm
step
glad
in
to
a
see
step
that.
in a
That'll
new
speed
direction.
up the process of getting into the parks because now they've
Oh,
got
for
all this
sure.
cool you don't have to go through the metal detector thing. They just have that walking scan thing. So
I'm so glad that the pandemic sort of pushed them to install that kind of technology.
Yes, thank you, COVID-19.
Silver lining.
Yeah.
No one has to dig around in our stuff anymore.
They still end up digging around in my stuff. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, it's exciting.
Okay.
And
That's
still
you
get
got that
pulled.
look about you.
I do.
That
I'm a
is-
ne'er-do-well.
Well, Heather's going to tell us all over again how cruising's going to start up with test cruises. I feel like we covered this story.
You know,
what, like 5
we
months ago?
did, but then the CDC was like, no, never mind. We're not going to make you do test cruises. But then last week they were like, okay, here's another new set of guidelines. And they aren't calling this a test cruise. They're calling it a volunteer cruise. So, yeah. So they are once again saying that they want any cruise line that wants to sail from a U.S. port. They're saying now that they have to take these volunteer simulated voyages. And it kind of the reasoning that they're stating for this, they don't want the cruise lines to charge people for this. Because what they're going to say right off the bat that if a certain level of COVID becomes detected on board, that the voyage has to stop immediately and turn around. So they're conducting these sailings where it will be all volunteer passengers, and in order to do it, you'll have to be 18 years old and provide documented proof that you are fully vaccinated, or
Can you be older than 18, or do you just have to be?
you have to be at least 18. Yes.
It's going to be a hot cruise. All 18-year-olds.
So here's
Main
what's
voyage.
interesting. The CDC is allowing them these volunteer passengers can either be fully vaccinated, or they can have a medical doctor write them a note that says they have no medical conditions that would put them at severe risk of death from COVID. So it's interesting because all of the cruise lines have already said that they're going to require vaccination for passengers 18 and up. So that one little or a doctor's note was interesting to me. And it sort of seemed like the CDC was hoping that some folks got on board with COVID so that they could test out how well the cruise lines are going to mitigate that risk. I don't know.
That sounds gross, if that's really what they want.
It does, right? And that's just me speculating. It's just interesting because all the cruise lines said we want our passengers over the age of 18 to be vaccinated, and they're requiring all of their staff to be vaccinated. So I don't know. There is going to be that we're going to get to that point where there are some folks who can't be vaccinated. Right now it's anyone under the age of 12 can't. 12 and up is all that can actually get a vaccine right now.
Which
So
is no problem for Virgin voyages, but every other one's got kids on board.
Yep. So Royal Caribbean has launched a webpage called Volunteer of the Seas, and you can go to that webpage and sign up to be selected to join a voluntary cruise. And then you just have to agree to all of the other framework things. And I haven't read the CDC's document is like 75 pages long. I haven't read it. There are, of course, going to be certain areas of the ship where you're going to have to wear a mask. Hopefully that's only in interior spaces when you're not eating and drinking. I mean, I wouldn't want to be
fully vaccinated people. Makes sense.
And yeah. That part I can get. I wouldn't want to be sitting next to the pool on a cruise ship wearing a mask. So I don't know. I guess it's going to be a while before we see exactly what that's going to look like. But all of them are hoping to be actually sailing by July out of the U.S. And they, of course, all have their contingency plans where they're going to sail from the Caribbean ports if they can't get the CDC to sign off on them from here.
What about my maiden voyage freedoms?
Well, who knows? Your maiden voyage may have to take place from a Caribbean port.
Yeah.
Well, here's the weird thing. So calling it simulated voyages, it makes it sound like you're going to get on the cruise ship and just stay there in port for a weekend. Like, they're actually going to normal
They are going to go
destinations?
places. Yeah.
So why is it? How is it simulated instead of just?
Well, it's
saying
because they
we're
can't charge for it.
Can't charge for it, and they can't guarantee that you're going.
That you're going
to follow through with it because they may call you back. But yeah, the voluntary thing and the simulated thing is weird verbiage they're using.
And they added that they have to have at least 10% of the maximum number of passengers that they can carry. So they can't just throw a couple of hundred people on the ship, go out for 2 days and come back and say, hey, we did it. Let us go. It has to be a real cruise with a decent number of people on board.
Yeah.
Simulated cruise.
But simulated, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they'll have trouble getting, I mean, that article that I saw said that the one already has, 15,000 people signed up.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, all of them lines have canceled everything all the way through June and gone to just sailing from the Caribbean. I mean, they really all want to get back to sailing out of the U.S. ports. It's just a giant portion of their revenue is Americans. And until they can get sailing out of the U.S. again, they're all in the red for a while. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to mean we're going to see cruise fares increasing steadily for a few years until they all recoup their losses from the last two. Even a Carnival cruise is going to come at a bit of a premium for a while, I think.
It makes sense. How else are they going to?
Yeah, I mean, they're all...
Got a year and a half of profits to make up.
Yeah, and they've all continued to build new ships during this.
Yeah.
I mean, Virgin is about to have 2 ships that haven't set sail once.
Twin maidens.
Yeah. Carnival was set to launch the Mardi Gras, and that's still just sort of tooling around out there doing nothing.
Which is funny because Mardi Gras is the American version of Carnival. It's kind of repetitive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? That's very deep. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
The Carnival Mardi Gras. Yeah, thank you.
Those deep thoughts.
I'm going to contemplate
I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing more things like, who is it that's got their private island that you have to pay to get to the good stuff on the private island?
Tom Cruise.
Every cruise line.
Every single cruise line has a private island, but
no, I mean what's the Great Day Coco
Cay.
Royal Caribbean.
Royal.
Yeah,
Royal Caribbean, where you've got to pay to do the good stuff on their private island.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing more.
Yeah.
And Norwegian Cruise Line did recently say, we were speculating that maybe they were going to require all of your excursions to be done through the cruise line so that they can control where you go and what you're exposed to. But Norwegian came out and said, no, we'll allow people to get off the ship and back on and go do their own excursions if they want. They're not going to require their excursions, which is great because those are always a bit more expensive than if you set them up through a
Well, if they're requiring a vaccine, it shouldn't be an issue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good thing.
Well, hopefully all of this is resolved by next summer when the Disney Wish launches, because I'm excited to get on that ship. Well, I mean,
that thing looks amazing.
There's a whole
That'll
list.
be a great maiden voyage.
Yes, it will.
All right.
Especially if they do it next year when I've gotten back all of my freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, last week, Disneyland in Anaheim had its second maiden voyage, if you think about it, kind of. Reopened and just has a few bits and bobs of details from the opening. So what you got for us?
Yeah, there's a few things out of Disneyland. First, we have the news that Paradise Pier Hotel will reopen on June 15th with limited capacity.
Good.
Limited capacity is kind of like unprecedented. I'm tired of hearing both of those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There will not be any food or beverage offerings initially at the hotel when it reopens.
What,
However, none at Paradise Pier, but guests may visit nearby dining outlets at Disney's Grand Californian Hotel. And to go along with that, they also announced that Napa Rose and Storytellers Cafe will reopen on May 28th.
Good.
So,
which is funny because a year ago, they wouldn't let you go in
Exactly.
Grand Californian if you were staying at the.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now they really want you to go. And they're also going to reopen the entrance from Grand Californian to Disney California Adventure on May 28th.
Oh,
so you'll
good.
be able to access that.
Oh, I didn't know that hadn't been up. So you had to
Yeah,
go
no, they've
through
had that
downtown
closed since-
Disney.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So is Grand Californian the only one that's been open thus far?
Yeah. And they still haven't said anything about Disneyland Hotel. So
I'm sure that'll be.
Well, I hope it's open by January of 2022.
Me too.
yes, that's what I'm hoping too.
That room block we have there is going to be not very full if it's not open.
Maybe we'll be the only people there.
That would be fantastic.
Ooh, that'd be fancy.
Well, the next announcement I want to hear is when they're allowing non-residents from outside of California. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although California knows how to party, apparently.
That's in the city of Compton.
Not Anaheim.
Not Anaheim.
Not so much. Unless you're partying in the Orange Groves.
Well, the airline industry is taking off again. We've
Hey.
did you like that? But the airports that I've been through in the last several weeks have been starting to look back to normal, especially Atlanta. But the Expedia decided that people might still be a little bit wary about flying. So they've come up with something that they think will really make you feel more comfortable on a plane.
Valium.
It's not Valium. It's a replica of Joe Jonas's hand that you can hold while you're flying. I'm not sure who decided that this was, what the anxiety-ridden traveler needed.
Is his hand in
They
this shape?
They are giving away a 3D printed replica of Joe Jonas's hand to lend a helping hand to those who might need reassurance about
Was
travel.
the focus group for this Nick Jonas?
I mean, it had to be. They put out a little video of him showing how his hand was 3D modeled, and he's like, Joe Jonas here. I just wanted to say hello and that I cannot wait to travel again.
Is it latex?
It's ridiculous.
I kind of want one.
The paint job on this thing is not very warm and comforting looking. It's kind of
It's blue.
dark and cold and off-putting
Yeah.
and kind of like freaky future.
It's
like
blue.
Blade Runner.
And
That's
it
actually
has-
what his hand looks like. It's a birth defect, and you guys are really insensitive.
He sat on it too long.
I heard that if you write on Greyhound, you're going to get a replica of Kesha's hand.
That's Kevin Jonas.
Oh, that's Kesha calling.
If this is what you really need to get you flying again, there it is. I think it's pretty weird.
That is, yeah.
Little off.
That's a waste of plastic.
Hey, Jess, do you want me to toss you the softball on your running joke that you haven't hit on yet?
What?
Whose hand do you get when you fly Allegiant Air?
Oh, it's Spirit Air, and you get
Spirit
Kevin
Air.
Jonas.
No, you're running.
I replaced it with the Greyhound Kesha one. I thought
That was pretty good
I haven't
too.
mentioned
but-
Julia Stiles yet this week.
Oh, that's true. How do we get Julia Stiles?
Well, if the Velocicoaster in related news, if the Velocicoaster is too intense for you, you can hold a replica of Julia Stiles' hand.
There it is.
it's actually Julia
Yes.
Stiles' hand. They just cut it off. She got caught stealing again.
They wipe it down with some Clorox and pass it on to the next
Stealing
person.
wet wipes from the cleaning cart.
Gross.
She's just standing at the exit like, thanks for coming.
Poor Julia.
That was a visual joke for the podcast listeners.
Those always go over well.
Those are the best ones.
Is it this shape?
I saw an article about some of the weird theme parks that they had around Florida before Walt Disney World opened, and since we've been talking about the anniversary of the opening of Walt Disney World, I wanted to take a moment to look at some of the things that we had to get by with before Walt Disney opened. The very first theme park in the Orlando area was Cypress Gardens. Have you guys ever heard of that one?
Yeah,
No.
I've been
Where
there
Legoland is.
Really?
No.
You blew my big reveal.
That's the only thing I know about it. Sorry.
It started out as basically, it was all just fancy gardens and water ski shows, including a guy that's really famous for being an ancient water skier. He was like 90 years old and still did water ski.
It was Ernest Borgnine.
Banana George, actually.
Banana George.
Yeah, because he always wore yellow.
How impressive, though, is it to be 90 years old and water ski? That just means you're really good at still holding on. That's about it.
He can stand really still. They're also known, apparently the water skiing wasn't enough to keep people coming in, so they had girls dressed up like Southern Belles wandering around the park. And
Can't do that anymore.
No, that's not. Well, apparently they do, or at least they did recently, because they had them at like just mentioned. It became Legoland, and you can actually see they left some of the gardens, part of Cypress Gardens, up, and just kind of rethemed them to Legoland. There's a Florida-shaped pool and Oriental Gardens there.
A Florida-shaped pool.
Yeah. There was also Six Gun Territory. In Lampoon's Vacation, where they stop at the Wild West town with
the teepees and all.
Oh yeah.
And the saloon where Rusty gets deafened by the gun.
Yes.
Going. Yeah. Well, it was basically just that, and you could dress up and get in on the fun, and they had gunfights and all kinds of sort of stuff. That closed in the early 1980s. Splendid China would be right up Jeff's alley because it was a tiny recreation.
Splendid China.
Oh,
yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
I prefer Splendid Thailand.
It was located just a few miles away from Walt Disney World, and a couple of Taiwanese immigrants opened up this place, and they had a scale model of the Great Wall of China that was approximately knee high to.
So you can pretend like you're Godzilla.
Oh, they also had cultural shows, dancers, and stuff. And there's like a recreation of looks like Tiananmen Square or something with tiny little dolls. So
were there tiny little tanks?
Tanks and flowers.
Yeah, and that one was located where Margaritaville is now.
Oh,
apropos.
Yeah. Margaritaville used to be tiny Chinese. There also used to be in Dania, Florida, there was a Pirates World Buccaneer-themed amusement park that was mostly famous for having a giant stadium where Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd did concerts.
Oh, that's fun. I thought you were going to say gladiator battles, but I like the Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd.
I want
to see Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd have a
Yeah, that's yeah.
Like immediately, I'll buy a ticket. Yes.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Do it like medieval times. Feed me turkey legs.
Oh, yes. Ooh, let's get on this, especially now that they're elderly.
Yeah.
We can really the walker battles. Give me a turkey leg and let them beat each other with canes.
Yeah.
The last one was located also just 12 miles away from Magic Kingdom, was the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus World.
Huh.
They still, up until they shut down recently, they still had their headquarters in Florida, but this was another spot where they ran their clown college.
College?
I know. I always wanted to go there.
That was a thing?
Julia Stiles alumni.
Yeah, no, you had to go, and it was like a major, it was like an actual educational facility where you learned the art, the
don't use that word. The art.
But they put on circuses and had some cheap amusement park rides and stuff. But that shut down, and it It's nothing now. It used to be actually the home of the Kansas City Royals spring training.
Speaking of clowns.
Yeah, baseball.
But
I got it.
Ball. I don't know.
Get 'em.
Well, that was less exciting than I hoped it would be. But Heather's got a really exciting story.
My dream used to be to either go to Stuntman University or Clown College.
Was Stuntman University a real thing?
Stuntman University didn't exist. So
that would have been fun.
My dad, when he was young, when he was about 18, he actually worked as a gunfighter at Six Flags in Texas.
Fun.
And did the gunfighting shows, and then they brought him over to open up Six Flags over Georgia, and so he ended up staying over there. But yeah, he did that for a while when they had those shows in
like
most
shot
theme
and fall
parks.
off the roof and all that.
Get
cool
shot.
stuff.
And he could do the gun twirls and everything.
So cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That hero.
What was
awesome.
What did his resume look like that he got that?
He
gig?
grew up on a farm in Texas.
He was a Wild
Around
West
cowboys,
gunfighter.
basically. So he could pretend to be a cowboy.
He was
pretty well.
bow-legged.
Disneyland in the early days had those shows in Frontierland too.
Yeah, and Knott's Berry Farm, I think too. Yeah, they were really big in the 70s and late 60s.
I say we should bring
Basically,
them back.
everywhere you go should have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what Dollywood started off as too. It started off as you just went on a train ride up the mountain, and some bandits would come and pretend they would board the train.
Bring that back.
That's what I was hoping we were going to get with Galaxy's Edge, was some sort of new version of those shows, and we were kind of promised that. And we've been promised that for Avengers Campus. So if they don't deliver on that, I'm going to be real mad. So I want to see someone
let that
turn into the Hulk.
Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bob Paycheck got a hold of it.
Yeah. Well, something that's not disappointing is a certain Japanese town's investment of their COVID relief funds.
Yes, I have a new town that, Jess, you need to put on your list of places to visit in Japan.
Uh-oh.
This is a coastal town in western Japan called Noto in the Ishikawa prefecture. And they were given about 800 million yen, which is about $7 million, in grants from the Japanese government to help them with COVID relief. And they decided that the best way to spend this money would be to help boost tourism back to their area by building a giant squid statue. And it is
worth it.
It is glorious. I would definitely go and visit this. It's 13 feet high and 30 feet long. And it cost them not all of their money. It cost them about $1 million. So I mean, that seems
Where
worth
the other
it,
six
right?
go.
Yeah.
And
Quick
imagine
question.
how amazing this could have been if they had spent it
Yes.
on the
If they
squid.
spent
When you
$7
said
million
giant
on it.
squid, I'm thinking much bigger than that.
I mean,
Quick question
the
for my
pictures
tourist
of it look
notes. How
pretty
many
huge.
penises does it have?
I mean, take a look at the photos.
The normal 12 that every squid has.
Yeah. Apparently, squid is a local delicacy, and they figured this would be part of a long-term strategy to raise awareness about their fishing industry. And it's glorious. I want to go see it.
It's raising awareness about their lack of fiscal responsibility.
At the end of
Absolutely.
each tentacle,
Yes.
too, is a replica of Joe Jonas's hand.
So it's very comforting.
In case it makes you anxious to
Folding.
see the giant squid. And it's this thing, the thing that's a little bit scary is it's to scale of a real giant squid. And I'm not sure I ever want to go back into the ocean if this thing is out there swimming around somewhere, because it's nightmare fuel.
Yeah, there's a greater than zero chance that you could encounter one of these things, I guess.
No,
in the ocean.
no, thank you.
I do think they missed a big opportunity by not making an opening in the mouth at the center of the tentacles and making a slide down through the center of the body where you could come
Or it
out.
could poop you out
Yeah.
Let's
fun for the kids.
Let's
into Joe
start a-
Jonas's hand.
Yeah, let's start a GoFundMe and raise money to make that. You can build it in my backyard.
Okay. I'm down for that.
Done.
Perfect.
Done and done.
You got plenty of room back there.
That's true.
Well, before we head to commercial, I just wanted to remind everybody that you still got a couple of days in to submit items for my to-do list for my trip to Walt Disney World this
Next week
as you're listening to this episode. So plan my Disney days for me. We've already got a couple of entries.
This could be dangerous.
Well, I mean, I reserve. I've got the right of final refusal on this.
Does it have to be things that won't get you kicked out of the park?
Yeah, okay. I'd prefer not to be trespassed from the park. I would like not to be harmed, and unless you are going to donate funds through the donate link on our website, I prefer that they be as close as free to possible. Unless we're talking about buying delicious snacks. Because
we know you're going to be eating the snacks.
Right. Yeah. The delicious snacks are all good. But snacks. For example, my list already includes finding a way to locate the weird picture of the cowboys being stung by fire ants in the bathroom at the restaurant at Fort Wilderness.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to be able to cross that one.
Has anyone told you to eat a cheeseburger spring roll?
I told myself to eat a cheeseburger spring roll.
The pizza ones are good too.
Those are good.
Yeah. My wife requires that I eat the Kona short ribs at Kona Cafe.
Oh yeah, those are good. I don't have them anymore.
And, What?
No,
he's not telling the truth.
I was like, what did I get last time?
He's a liar. I know that she ate that last time she was there. And also the Peter Pan float. Somebody suggested that I try some sort of kakamora thing.
Oh, the kakamora one. Yeah, it's a coconut.
Oh, the bukkake shake at the Polynesian is amazing.
Well, thanks for joining us this week. If you'd like to try.
Y'all, I had to Google.
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
think
fun.
Jess fell off of its chair.
Apparently, I'm also supposed to do a trolley dance during the trolley show. On
yes.
We'll see if that happens. But anyway, so if you have any ideas,
I will volunteer to take video of that.
Yes. Anyway, so if you have ideas for whether it's wacky, silly things for me to do that won't get me kicked out of the parks, but will be entertaining to watch on social media, or delicious things to eat, or even if there's just things that you want to see around the parks that maybe you don't often get to see.
Yeah, I would suggest listeners should give Dan their ideas for Disney bounding, because his wife is pretty handy and will definitely make him some things to wear.
I didn't even consider
I would like you to wear a wig that's quite obviously a wig, but not colorful, but it looks like just the worst wig.
Like an Elsa wig?
And just order things from menus that you know aren't on the menu, and then just keep a fully straight face while you do that.
I like that idea.
The hard part is the straight face would be, well, that's a given.
I want Kendra to make you just a poo costume, which is just a really small shirt, nothing else. You wear that around the park.
That will get him kicked out of the park.
Right. I can't get trespassed. I will wear.
What if it's just like a flesh-colored, skin bodysuit, and then like a little red T-shirt on top?
I almost volunteered just the little red T-shirt part, but no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, Dan, you're no fun.
That's on my list. So anyway, send in your suggestions either on our website. We've got all the ways to contact us, or hit us up on Facebook, Twitter at GKAS Podcast, GoldKeyAdventures@gmail.com, all that good stuff. Tell me what I should do while I am at Walt Disney World. And stick around, because after the commercial break, we're heading back to Mexico to tour some more incredible all-inclusive resorts with Heather and Jeff.
When it comes to planning your next adventure, knowledge and preparation are always key. That's why a call to your Key to the World travel vacation planner should always be at the top of your to-do list when you feel the urge to venture forth and explore the world. Key to the World Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, specializing in travel to Disney theme parks around the world, as well as Disney Cruise Line, Aulani, and Adventures by Disney. With over 450 travel advisors who share a deep love for Disney destinations, Key to the World Travel has a wealth of knowledge and passion to help you experience all the magic with none of the work. Wherever your wanderlust is driving you, Key to the World Travel is a full-service travel agency with the expertise to get you where you want to go. So whether you're headed to Universal Studios, Hawaii, Europe, or somewhere a little farther off the beaten track, your first step should always be to visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a no-obligation quote. Their expert travel planners are standing by to help you with every detail of your perfect vacation. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com or at Key to the World Travel on Facebook. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation.
It's a tough life owning a travel agency, but someone has to do it. Constantly packing your bags, hopping on a plane, and heading out to learn more about the latest and greatest destinations your guests want to visit. Conveniently, we just so happen to have two individuals of the travel agency owning variety on staff here at Gold Key Adventure Society. And they just got back from touring some more resorts south of the border, down Mexico way. They're going to tell us all about them. But first, apparently at 1:30 last night, I came up with a funny question to ask you.
Oh, good.
And I don't remember what it was anymore. I didn't put it in the thing because I didn't want to give it away. And now I'm realizing that was a bad idea.
Because you can't remember what it was?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. So
Good work,
so
Dan.
anyway.
Well, the answer is yes. Every Wednesday.
I'm a professional.
Absolutely. I would do that. That's my
Did
answer.
it just say, ask a funny question? Oh, Dan has funny
It says
bit.
Dan has a funny bit. Just go with it.
Future Dan has a funny bit that past Dan was really relying on.
Yeah, I really wish I remember what it was. So, well, anyway, let's talk about what did you guys see in Mexico? What resorts?
So
did
many
you guys
things.
visit?
We were hosted by AM Resorts at their beautiful Dreams Vista property, which is a brand new. When did that open? Last year, right?
It opened last year, right?
Amid the pandemic times, I
Amid
think.
the pandemic, yeah. It was right before Cancun got that lovely hurricane season.
That's right.
Where
it
not
opened.
one, but two.
This hotel
Hurricanes.
is beautiful. It's a glass tower, and it was open 2 weeks when the hurricane hit and knocked out
The first
all
hurricane.
of the glass in the glass tower. So then they had to put it all back together, and then I think it opened again, and now we're open, and it's beautiful.
It is gorgeous, and it sits right on the beach. It doesn't have a huge beach. It's not what I would recommend for somebody who really wants a beach trip. It's more of a sort of a glamorous cosmopolitan type resort. You want to see the ocean and hear the ocean, but you don't really love sand, so you don't want to sit on the beach all day.
It has a Miami Beach feel to it. It has a huge, very chic pool that's all well lit, and it's. I mean, this pool is like 300 yards long. It's amazing,
beautiful.
And
if you're worried about coming into contact with the giant squid,
exactly, that's where you want to go.
You can go in the water. They have the water, and they have actually water sports and those
right
bouncy trampolines and all that stuff. You can get.
Some of our agents spent a lovely afternoon drinking and jumping on that trampoline out in the ocean. We might have some video of people who had a little trouble climbing onto that thing.
This resort sits right on a golf course. So if that's your thing, this is the resort for you. It's got a gorgeous golf course that's right on the beach, right next to the resort. You can walk right from the resort into the golf course. But it's all a tower. So all of the rooms are above all of the restaurants and everything. So basically every room has... The entrance is on the hotel side, and everybody's rooms face the beach. So you're looking, or not the beach, but actually the bay, water. And you see the whole skyline of the hotel zone of Cancun. It's beautiful. It feels like
and they all have balconies.
Miami Beach style thing because of all the nice tall buildings around you. It's beautiful at night.
You can sit out there and drink your coffee in the morning and watch the sailboats. It's very, very, very pretty. And this one was a Dreams, so it's family friendly. They have a little water park for the kids, and there's a second pool that's right next to the water park, so it's sort of more kid friendly. we got to see a lot of their other brands. So some of them are adults only and some of them are family friendly. They kind of have something for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Like what?
Sorry. Lost my train of thought. Well, this was the first time that we had experienced a Zoetry Resort, which is their kind of, it's adults only, or some of them are adults only. They say it's more adult oriented than adults only, because it's kind of a wellness spa type resort.
It's high end finishes and
Very
everything's beautiful,
high-end.
and then lots of healthier foods and.
So it's more of a soft R than an NC-17.
Exactly. And they did this thing with us, with our group, that
Boy,
they
was I
called
surprised.
they called a sound bath. So they had everybody sit in a circle and close their eyes. And then this shaman comes out and starts.
Was ayahuasca involved in this?
I wish, man, that would have made it so much better. But then they come out and do all these various things, like the rain stick, that stick thing that I don't know is full of rice or whatever, but it makes it sound like a storm.
thing.
Yeah, and like the copper bowls that the
Singing
Buddhist,
bowl.
yes, that they knew there was a
Tibetan
word
singing
for that.
bowls.
Yes. And then so that's kind of a Zen, relaxing wellness sort of thing. And then you go right into the tequila tasting, which is more my idea of a wellness retreat.
Of wellness.
They offer tons of stuff, yoga, and it's all environmental stuff and
Perineum
healthy.
sunning.
I
You can do
mean,
that anywhere.
maybe. You could
I did that
definitely,
at the Orlando airport recently.
you could certainly do that on your balcony at Dreams Vista.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's right. Plenty of sun there.
There's lots of sun. That place is great for sun worshipers because there's not a lot of shade.
We also went over to nearby Dreams. Which one was that called? Where we had the big
you're
party?
trying to get me.
She likes to say Playa Mujeres with that accent. So AM's one of their family friendly properties are the Dreams properties, and they took us to the one at Playa Mujeres.
Playa Mujeres.
And it's just a huge, beautiful resort with something crazy, like 9 different pools that are all terraced all the way down to where they have a beautiful stretch of beach.
I think that's my favorite Dreams. It's
Big
just
water
so gorgeous.
park, splash pads and everything, but like
So
4
many
serious
swim-up
water
bars.
slides. Rooms with their own plunge pools and swim up bar. There's an under waterfall swim up
Grotto
bar.
one, yeah. You
A
have to
regular swim-up
swim
bar,
through
and
a
then
waterfall and sit in there and drink. It's really good. And it sits right next to their sister resort, Secrets, which is adults only. And if you're an adult staying at Dreams, you can go over to Secrets.
So you get
and
your
use
kids
everything there.
occupied doing something over there at the one resort.
In
and
the
you walk
kid
next
club.
door. Yeah. Then you go next door to the adults only club.
Which has another swim up bar or two.
You
I love a swim up bar.
ever been to a swim up beach?
Wait a second. I feel
You
like
technically can't swim up to the
I
beach.
feel
At
like
some
that's
point,
a
you got to
trick
stand up.
question.
Oh, you're right. Well, you can swim up to it, but then you're just flopping around on your stomach.
You get a wicked rash on your belly.
Yeah. We had a fantastic Mexican themed dinner and entertainment there at Dreams Playa Mujeres that night. And it's a take on what something that they do every week for their guests. Every Friday night, they have a fiesta and they have a huge lineup of entertainment from all different regions of Mexico, and then food
the Mexican
stations.
Heritage Night, where they tell the history of the area from the Mayans to now through different forms of entertainment, from dancers and singers and mariachi, of course, and they do like traditional Mayan dress where they're dressed like eagles. It's cool stuff.
Very
They ripped
cool.
the still beating heart out of.
And they have like
Out of it.
20.
You know, they
don't
should
have
add that. Yeah.
That's Indiana Jones, you're thinking of.
they pass around a cup of his warm blood.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
right. And everybody eats a monkey brain. It's great.
Hey, but
Everything-
didn't you eat monkey brains at that dinner? It was what Aaron was calling monkey brains. It was
Yeah.
it was a candied papaya.
candied papaya, but I mean,
the texture, it looked
the
like
texture was wrong. It looked like a
salmon.
tumor they had cut out of a hobo.
I thought it
It
looked
actually
like
tasted
salmon.
delicious, but it looked and felt wrong in my mouth.
Well, we made one of our colleagues try it before Jeff, and she spit it out. And
So
so
I
of
naturally had two of
course,
them.
yes. So of course we had to take one over to Jeff and say, "Here, eat this." And then he liked it and ate more
liked
than
it.
one.
Hey, Mikey.
Ugh.
Is it fun being the guy that people just do weird food experiments on, Jeff?
It is.
Yeah.
That was my gig in high school. I was the guy that would eat anything.
Tell
So
them
rather
about the
than
cheese
buy
slice.
lunch, I would spend my lunch money on other stuff. And then people would bring me whatever food to eat. So they, one time I ate cheese off a guy's shoe.
That's my favorite story.
That's why I need to lose 50 pounds.
Yeah. Whatever. Anything for a laugh, right?
Yeah. They also have an adults only brand called Breathless that's for the
You can breathe in.
how would you put it? More of the free spirited
The swinger
party
side?
side? Yes.
Not so much swingers, but it is definitely one of the signs that we saw when we were touring Breathless was that you have to wear a top when you're in the pool.
Yes. Topless
What about when you're not in the
sunbathing.
pool?
That's fine.
That's
If you're
okay.
out of the pool, you can sunbathe topless, but you got to put your top on to get in the pool.
Which I'm confused by, but whatever.
Well,
yeah, I
I'll
don't.
follow the rules.
Yeah.
But
I think they're afraid of groping in the pool. I
yeah,
don't know.
that's probably a thing.
You
But
know,
it's
yeah.
that resort is it's definitely for the 20s and 30s aged people. It's very, very nice. Like all high end. Their liquor selection is high end and
Mhm.
everything. The pricing is
Yep.
high end, but it is for people that are there to party. So they have two different sections. One is more mellow and chill. That's for when you're hungover. And then the
Yeah.
other section is like high energy. There's a
foam
DJ
parties.
at the pool all the time, and they have scantily clad dancers. They have foam parties. They have loud music. They spray you down with
Yeah. Moet.
It sounds like the Virgin Cruise Line. Of,
Oh, yeah.
very
Well,
much.
what-
It's going to be
what
like,
I
it's gonna be
thought
like
was-
that off the Hook Maiden Voyage.
What I thought was interesting was they said that it was definitely designed for more of the 20, 30 somethings, but their average age for their guests there is 45.
Yeah, it's old turds like me that want to go in there
Where
and see
the
the
kids
young
at?
girls.
Well, I
Hello,
think
fellow kids.
they said that on
Over here to the pool.
the 20 somethings tend to only come for like long weekends. And I think what they didn't think about is that people of that age don't have the money for a week long vacation in Mexico. You know, they could do a 2 or 3 night bachelorette party. And that we definitely saw that kind of thing happening there. But the people who are spending a whole week are the 45-year-olds who have the money and want to party for a week.
It's a gorgeous resort and amazing
really
looking
is.
restaurants, and the chill area pool was great. I mean, just look, they have these floating bed things that you can walk out to, and then
In the pool.
they're all out in the pools. Very, very pretty. And the beach there is gorgeous too.
That one, yeah, the Breathless is down closer towards my favorite Secrets, which is Secrets Maroma. And Maroma Beach is just a spectacularly gorgeous stretch of beach. White sand.
Maroma.
Yeah. It's white sands and what if you're a beach person, you want to be down further down the Riviera Maya in the Maroma area. They
I love
have
pools.
a Dreams
I'm
down
not
there.
such a
And,
beach guy.
yeah, me too. I don't love sand, but I do love to look at the beach. Secrets Maroma I loved because they had some local wildlife that I enjoyed. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous property, beautiful rooms, wonderful restaurant. But that's where you can find the coatis, which
Mhm.
we were describing them as
teddy bear
raccoon monkeys.
monkeys.
Yeah,
Yeah, those things.
I love them. They're so
They're
cute.
the cutest. They have a tail like a lemur. They're shaped like a raccoon, but they're fluffy and brown like a teddy bear.
And then they have sort of a pointy nose.
Yeah,
I
almost
don't know why
anteater
I
style.
was so fascinated with the coatis, but they're
And
very cute.
They can talk
What?
like a bird.
Huh.
They can only say very
You
basic things like pretty boy and
I didn't realize
Maiden
that
voyage.
part. I did.
Maiden voyage. What about my freedom?
I didn't hear any of the teddy bear monkeys talking. Are you sure you didn't have some ayahuasca at Zoetry when you heard them talking?
Maybe so.
Do you?
Maybe so. But
Miss
the AM
anyone
Resorts
yet?
brand has some kind of resort for every kind of thing you're into, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we have been to the Mexican Riviera so many times in the last, say, 6 months, and we still have visited only a fraction
Oh, a fraction
of the beautiful resorts they have there. So I'm going to make it my life goal to visit every one of them
I'm going to make it the goal for 2021. I'm not spending my life.
Yeah.
We still keep going back.
It's especially learned during these COVID times when you can't cruise that you can still get the exact same experience. You're just not on a boat.
Yeah.
But you can go on a
Some people
boat,
might.
which
Yeah,
we
we
did
did
on
that.
this trip.
One of the things about these resorts is there are so many different excursions you can sign up for, and they'll come get you right at your resort, take you to whatever the excursion is, or to a marina to get on a boat or whatever. We did a catamaran day that was about 6 or
5 or
6
6
or 7 hours.
Yeah.
And they took us to a couple of spots where we could, they dropped off those that were, it was very windy that day. So they actually did a thing I've never seen on snorkeling, was they dropped off the snorkelers and then they cruised around and went way up to the point where you were going to get the current and the
Pushed
wind
by
were
the
going to
current.
push you anyway. And so we were just waiting for the snorkelers as they came back. I stayed on the boat and enjoyed the all-inclusive booze on the catamaran while others were
Yes.
snorkeling. But they stopped for a snorkel place, and then they stopped very near Isla Mujeres,
Isla Mujeres.
let everybody get in the water where it was shallow
Served
and
us
gorgeous.
delicious lunch right on
Yeah.
the catamaran.
And then they take you over to Isla Mujeres where you can spend the day. There's beautiful beaches there. There's apparently all kinds of stuff there. We didn't get any further than
Yeah. The bar.
local, their version. It's like the Mexican version of Senor Frog, which
Yeah.
I think there they just call it Mr. Frog.
Yeah. It was 3 hours of some of the most spectacular people watching
Oh,
that
yeah.
I have ever done in my life, because it's where all the catamarans drop everyone off.
Yeah.
And
It's booze cruises, it's catamarans, it's diving tours, all of the boat tours from all the Riviera Maya
Companies.
area, I'll drop off there for some part of the day for shopping and whatever. And there were some fabulous people watching.
the things that people put on and chose to leave their hotel room in and go out in public.
Borat style one-piece thong
Oh, yeah.
unitard get-ups. We saw a guy wearing a white version of one of those that had sharded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just was walking around.
Oh no,
Yes. I'm not sure whether he was.
it's my life.
I'm not sure whether he was aware that we all saw what happened. We did.
This beach bar, literally, as soon as you get off one of these catamarans, you kind of go through a shopping district, and there's a beach bar on the left. I said, while we figure out what we're going to do, a group of about 8 of us said, we'll just sit down here, have a drink, and think about it. Well,
Decide what we're going to do.
4 hours later,
Yeah.
it was time to go. We never left
We
that
couldn't
place.
stop watching the people and
But that is where the public beach is that's free to go to. So it was
so
insane.
it was snacks and a show.
We watched
we-
a gentleman get arrested because he was yelling at his girlfriend so hard, who had disappeared with 2 other gentlemen.
Yes, they had been sitting
a
like
couple
sort
of hours.
Yeah, they'd been sitting sort of on the public beach part, and she disappeared, and with apparently we didn't. Right? You said you saw her walking away with
I saw her
these
leaving,
guys.
and then I saw him freaking out, but I didn't know they were related. And when she came back, he lost his mind on her and started yelling. And actually, a bunch of people, we were all kind of circled around there. We're going to watch this go down, but he was not going to.
He was
touch this young
screaming
lady, or
and
somebody
getting
would have
in her
stopped it.
face, and yeah, it was looking like he might get violent.
The beach police showed up and took him down, and he suddenly got real friendly after he was tackled. But while
He was tackled, his face shoved in the sand, and handcuffed.
2 police take him down. And then the girl that he'd been fighting with, she jumps on the back of the police officer, and he's
Trying to
swinging
pull him
around
off
with
of
her
him.
on his back. It was wonderful.
Boy, Harry and Meghan have really fallen on hard times since they left England.
Our group may have gotten video from a few angles of this whole thing.
So then, after that all went down, we're all like flummoxed as to what did we just see? Then the shot coach, she called herself, comes around. She's got a whistle, and instead of pouring a shot, she just pours a shot into your mouth. And
let's all forget that violence here.
After she pours the liquor into your mouth, she shakes your head all around to get you disoriented, and then jiggles both of your breasts, whether you're a male or female.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ideal activity to partake in during the middle of a global pandemic.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I watched because she did the other side of the table first, and
they changed the little pour spout.
The little
thing.
pour spout, it was not touching anyone's mouth, and no germs were shared. I promise.
It was so fun, and we were all one group. They were not going from table to table,
exactly.
like that. But it was some of the silliest fun I have ever had, and apparently there's a beach there and some other wonderful things you could see on Isla Mujeres, but all we saw was that one beach bar.
And the fun people. I mean, I saw more outfits made of mesh than I have in my entire life.
Yeah, like men wearing panties of mesh and gold chains, and just some of the best people watching I've ever enjoyed.
You can also choose a catamaran that doesn't dump you off there if that's not your thing. But if you like the crazy people watching, I highly recommend it.
They have a sunset sail that you can do that's also wonderful. It does. You don't even have to go watch anyone get arrested.
Yeah. And our guide on our catamaran was great and really knew a lot about the local, the reefs and the sea creatures you can see. He had me all excited for coming back in the summer to do swimming with the whale sharks. Hundreds of them, I guess, end up in that area in the summer for their annual mating season. And these are just enormous sharks that are like the size of boats, but they have no teeth. They have no teeth. Yeah, they eat krill. So you can go swim with them. Really. Yeah. And they said
you can go boop them on the nose and they can't even bite you.
He said that
we'll need a bigger boat.
He said they're very, very friendly and they're very docile. And
they're in mating mode.
Well, that too. Yeah.
The water gets incredibly viscous that time of year.
Ew, gross. Well, now you've ruined it for me, Dan. I really wanted to go snorkeling with the whale sharks.
With the horny male sharks. Yeah. Go have
If you
fun.
go by the Urban Dictionary definition of snorkeling, then...
No. That is not what I meant. Y'all are the worst.
Well, there's plenty to do in Cancun.
Yes, we had a group of our folks went to Tulum to see the ruins, and they had a great day. The ruins there are just gorgeous, beautiful spot perched on the side of a cliff, and the hottest place on the planet, I think.
Mm-hmm. We had 65 of our travel planners down there that all fanned out, and each group got to see 6 or 8 different of the resorts, and including the one we were staying at. So everybody got a good feel for all the different offerings down there in that area. So everybody's ready to help.
Like y'all got white glove treatment everywhere you went.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, they were real nice to you guys.
Yes, they were. And I can't say enough good things about the Mexican Caribbean. The people are some of the friendliest people I've met in the world. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the most hardworking people. The service that you get in every single resort, across different resort brands that we've visited, the service is always just incredible.
And if you ask someone where something is, it's like how Disney used to be. They will just go, we'll take you there. They don't point and say it's down that way. They just go, I'll take you to whatever restaurant or wherever it is. They just take you.
Even, these are all inclusive, and in Mexico, tipping is optional. You're not required to tip, and it doesn't affect their level of service at all. I will share an insider tip, though. If you tip your bartender, even just a few bucks, the service you get is somehow even better.
Tip them right when you walk in, so they know you mean business. then you get great service. And so many people just tip nothing. It's so crazy when they're thrilled with a couple of bucks here and there. And you haven't paid for the liquor, so why not give them a few bucks? But we saw so much of people not tipping at all.
It's some of it, I think, is folks who are used to going to Sandals where it's not Sandals and Beaches resorts where it isn't allowed. But these resorts, all of them do still take great care of their staff, and they're just really, really friendly people.
Mm-hmm. And fun. We always run into a lot of really fun
Mexico
bartenders and activity directors and things.
Yeah, and in a couple of months, we're going to be going back to a place we visited to check out some of their new offerings, like the floating taco bar that's in the pool.
That sounds messy.
Maybe, but who cares?
Sounds great. I always get messy when I eat tacos. I just dunk my head under the water.
You don't even need a napkin.
But there's a problem, because I know what my shirt looks like when I'm eating tacos, and now all of that is going to be in the water.
You just swim to another part of the pool where your taco debris isn't floating.
I'm sure they will have the pool boy there just with the net.
He's just right under you, like scooping
holding it under your face.
Yep.
All right, I'm sold.
Yeah, right?
I can't get enough of Mexico, and everyone listening should go to there.
Yeah, and actually, vacations in Mexico are really affordable as well. You can get some really great luxury for a fraction of what you would pay on a cruise or at a place like that in the United States. And let's just dispel the myth right here and right now. All-inclusive is not an American thing. You can't find that in the United States. You're only going to find it in Mexico, the Dominican Republic, and then
Caribbean.
Some of the Caribbean. Yeah. So if you've heard of a great all-inclusive experience, we're going to need to get you a passport and get you on a plane down there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth it. It really is. This summer, this fall, it's time to explore the Mexican Caribbean.
We'll have to talk about Mexico again once you guys have had the floating taco bar.
Yes, absolutely. The floating taco bar also, that resort also has a gentleman with a backpack full of margaritas. So
does he work for them, or he just happens to be around?
He does. No.
It's a hobby of mine.
And also, like, are they in cups, or is he just open his backpack and it's sloshing around?
He's got
a sleeve of cups on one side, and it's like the thing like they're fertilizing the lawn with. But
yeah. It looks.
Does he pump it up and squirt it into your face?
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
It is like a lawn fertilizer
They
thing.
also have like the Wheel of Fortune type wheel that you spin and it lands on a drink, and that's the drink you get.
Yep, that's at Margaritaville Island Reserve.
Unfortunately, one of the options it could land on is water.
That's probably a good thing, though.
Yeah, every now and then you need it to land on water. Yeah.
Let's remember that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, if Jeff has his way for 2021, I think it sounds like we're going to end up having the South of the Border series be a regular,
absolutely,
a recurring episode on the show. Thanks for hanging out with us again this week. If you're excited to lounge poolside at an all-inclusive resort in Mexico or explore anywhere else around the world, Key to the World Travel has a swim-up taco bar full of expert travel planners ready to make your vacation dreams a reality. Head to www.keytotheworldtravel.com to get started with a no-obligation quote. Don't forget to catch up with our friend, the Theme Park Professor, for all the latest theme park news and tips at www.themeparkprofessor.com. Word of mouth is the best way to help us grow our show. If you have a friend or two who you think would appreciate our special brand of globe-trotting jackassery, tell them what makes our show so great and send them our way. You can find links to subscribe to the show on your favorite apps and all the latest updates at www.goldkeyadventures.com. We can't wait to hang out with you again next week. We'll see you real soon.
Bye, everybody.
No vayas a flows.
To ask a question or share your travel story, you can reach us by smoke signal, carrier pigeon, or send an email to goldkeyadventurers@gmail.com. And make sure you follow the Gold Key Adventures Society on Facebook and Instagram. A huge thanks to our sponsor, Key to the World Travel. For all your travel planning needs, visit www.keytotheworldtravel.com for a free quote and help planning the trip of a lifetime. Tell them the Gold Key Adventurers sent you. That's www.keytotheworldtravel.com. Key to the World Travel, your key to a magical vacation. Thanks to Outer Vibe for the use of their song Hoka Hey for the intro and outro of our show. Find them on Facebook at The Outer Vibe or check out www.outervibe.com for tour dates, music, merch, and more. We'll see you next week for another meeting of the Gold Key Adventurers Society. And until then, remember, life is short and the world is wide. So go have an adventure.